tea chat. It's 11 o'clock at night. I have no idea what phase of the moon it is because it's so cloudy for weeks. So what time is it? Full moon? Is it a new moon? It was quite bright. I'm sure it's somewhere quite full. Talking of witchcraft, you know, you've got to know what's going on in the moon. It's very hot. So this is an informal witchcraft chat. Witchcraft is such a weird name to say. Witcher, Wicca, a Fidki, a pagan. Call myself a pagan. You see, the thing is, with the last few videos I've made, I actually exposed myself out there in front of my parents, who knew who I was and what I was about, but not in such great detail, which is never easy. So that's kind of odd. I think we all feel like that, and the reason is maybe there's a bad press, you know, for witches. Maybe some of them are a bit odd and some of them are a bit weird in comparison to quite a lot of mainstream, everyday, ordinary folk. And a lot of people keep coming up to me with the, are you a black witch, are you, you know, turn to God kind of solution to your life without knowing anything about you. And each to their own. I mean, maybe they found the solution to their own life there. That's fair enough. But they do like to try and convert everybody on a pagan space. But I was thinking about this because I saw someone the other day. I'm not going to say anything, but she's quite a good YouTuber, and I subscribed to her. And then she did a spell that was obviously a very negative, very black and quite malevolent spell. And she was saying, you know, obviously it's the way you use this spell. You could use it for good or you could use it for bad. And I thought, there's not a lot of good in that one. And really, if you're in the position of being a teacher, do you want to teach people how to harm other people? Is that a conscientious kind of path to take? And so I just wanted to say, you know, are you being lied to about witchcraft? Are you being told that you've got carte blanche to do as thou wilt? Is it really about your own power, or are you really sort of having to check out your motives, your inclinations, your own dark side, your shadow? And I saw this woman's, I went to her channel, I had a look around, and I just found this thing where she was talking about how she was critiquing a video, you'll know who it is now, about I was a witch, you know, I was taught by a real witch, and she was sort of giving her commentary on these, which she does quite positively. I'm not knocking her for that at all. She seemed a very positive person who didn't want to, you know, upset anyone really. But she had videos out that were saying there's no such thing as black and white magic. And then I watched a few more videos, and obviously I'm an older generation than a few of these young ones with really good makeup on. And a few other people were saying, oh, that's so passé, you know, this black and white magic thing. So I talked to a few people on a Facebook group, and I said, what's your opinion on this? And it was divided, you know. There were some people who were saying, I don't believe in the black and white magic, there's a grey place, there's sort of a lot of stigma attached to being a witch, and people going, are you a black witch or are you a white witch? And somebody said quite rightly, you wouldn't go up to a Christian and say, are you an evil Christian or are you a good Christian? I get that point. But this magic was so sour. This spell was really designed to sour a relationship between two people. Now, you can put out there that it could be used for good or it could be used for bad, but you can be pretty damn sure that 95% of people are not going to be using it for good. And so should you like be teaching people that anyway? Personally, I wouldn't. I would try and find a more positive spell to offer people. But she's trying to serve her viewers and her followers. I hate followers. Anyway, she's trying to serve people who have asked her questions. But I think it's very immature. I would have thought perhaps the better answer is to say just don't do it. Just move on. Just grow up. Don't start manipulating other people. And you want something mini pause. How are you doing? Really cute. Anyway, so yeah. Wisdom comes with age, and quite a lot of young'uns are being taught by other young'uns, and they've not matured into that kind of wisdom that I didn't have when I was that young either, that you couldn't control your own anger. Even this age you can't control your own anger that easily, but over time you gain insight into what you do and what comes back to you and what's wise and what's not wise. And I've got a little story. I had trouble with some neighbours and they were absolute monsters. And they smashed my car up, they threw a brick through my window. They were psychos and there's nothing I could do. They were absolutely scary people. The police were no use at all. I felt real injustice. The police said, why don't you talk to him, you know, you explain, talk it through with this like 16-year-old lad who was having a lot of problems in his life. And it wasn't going to do anything. There's nothing you can say to that kind of person. And I was so angry, and eventually I just left my house. I packed up in the middle of the night and I went the next day, and I just went to store my stuff somewhere and waited, what was 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It was quite a long time till I found another house, but I didn't go back. And I was really angry about it. But now I look at it back, fate knows what's going on. Fate goes, get out of there. Whatever way, it was a positive end. I got out of a place that I really did not like the area, didn't like the whole poverty, and it was a very dark energy in that place. It's always got a bad reputation. There were criminals, you know what I mean? You don't want to live around the hardened, lethal, blooming professional criminals. I don't. There was a gun go off one night. I heard it. It's like, it was a horrible place. Oh my God, what was I doing there? And I moved. And I moved overnight. And I really wanted to curse this lad. I really had to struggle with my negative, I'm going to kill you kind of feelings. I'm going to throw a brick back through your window. But the trouble is, I was so tempted, but I wasn't stupid. Because if I'd have thrown a brick back through his window, I would have got caught. I would have gone down a path that started misleading me into a kind of mindset of this is what you do to retaliate. I wanted to curse him. I was thinking, where do I get graveyard dirt? Can I really go and dig up a graveyard in the middle of the night? Whose grave do I choose? I was thinking like this, where do I get a black coffin? And I thought, fucking hell, how ridiculous, you know? And it was me reflecting him. And at the end of the day, I kind of thought, do you know what? I can leave here, but you are always going to be you. And you are going to have to live with yourself for the rest of your life, being you. And ultimately, in the long term, him being him is going to bring him to his karmic justice, because he will get thrown in prison. He will have a shit life. He will end up, you know, criminal records, robbing, burgling. Maybe he will get out of it, I don't know. Am I the one to teach him? Am I going to be able to get him out of that life? I think ultimately only his own choice can get him out of that life. And the equivalent of me throwing a brick through his window would not help it. And so this is my point on black magic. If I'd have retaliated, if I'd have fought back, I would have met him with equal darkness, equal hatred, equal spite, and he would have dragged me down into being like him. So if you feel like that, really the magic that you want to do is, I want to get myself out of the situation, not that I want to have revenge and throw equal darkness back. And I understand what it's like, but this is the thing you have to choose, and you do have to choose. It comes to every witch, which way do I go? Because you feel like, well, the information's there for one, you get angered and you want your power back for another. But yes, people who are saying there are no black and white borders, boundaries in magic, I'm sorry, but there are. Yes, there is black magic. Black magic is where you start manipulating, you start hurting, you start trying to inflict, you try to cause harm, you try to cause trouble. No wonder witches have got a bad reputation. Are you bloody surprised? So you've got to teach people responsibly. And my little bone about these little like 20-year-old YouTubers talking about the hair and the makeup and the nails today, and fair enough, you know, it's more of a blog and they've got something to say, which is fine. But some of them are a little bit more immature than I would like to see, teaching other people how to do. This is how to be a witch. So really consider what is happening to your own being if you take that path. And I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I would always say, try and find the positive light. Do not fall into messing about with black magic. I think everyone's got to learn a bit, everyone's going to make a mistake, everyone's going to go, right, you shit, at some point. But just be careful on what scale you end up losing yourself. And you will lose yourself and you'll find yourself again. You'll lose yourself again, you'll find yourself again. But for God's sake, don't go thinking it's okay. It's carte blanche. It's my power, it's my will, and it's my decision. So that's my opinion on black and white magic. I don't think that the attitude today towards there is no black and there is no white, and it's not fair to say you a black witch to people, is kind of flippant, and it's very immature. I think maturity comes with knowing that there is power and there is wisdom in choosing what side you take if you're wielding power. And yeah, you might not go up to a Christian and say, are you a dark Christian? But the fact is there are dark Christians, and we've all heard the tales, and we've all heard about, you know, the gossip and the slander and the, can you trust this person? And yeah, do you want to become one of them? Do you really want to be that person? So yeah, let's take this seriously. Yes, there's black magic. Yes, there is things that will putrefy your own being if you mess about with them. And so don't go thinking that you can be silly and childish and mess about with other people's lives, because I hope to God it comes back on you threefold, you know, until you learn, until you're wiser. And that is why you went to a crone, to learn. You didn't go to a 20-year-old and she taught you to be a witch. You went to the old wise woman, and that was the path, and that was the initiation. And I tell you, someone who was like wearing glossy nail varnish, that wasn't the initiator. You didn't go to you found the wrinkly old bag at the edge of the village, and she knew the wisdom to tell you how to do it, because she'd lived it and she'd understood. So no offence to young people, that sounded wrong. I'm just saying, growing up, you think you're there when you're 20, and now I look back at 20-year-olds and go, I was so young. I was not grown up. They say it takes till you're about, really, adolescence lasts until you're about 45, and I would absolutely agree. And then menopause happens, and that's a totally different kettle of fish again. No, but it's, yeah, it takes a long time to mature. 55 and you're an adult, you know, just before you retire. But anyway, this is, I'm just joking, please don't get offended. But my point is, yeah, the old crone would be the teacher and the initiator. She is the old crone goddess of the moon. So yeah, don't be silly, don't be immature, don't mess about with things, don't hurt other people, don't manipulate people. You may think you want that boyfriend, but how the hell do you know? Like, if you're splitting up someone, say this isn't, you know, just a common example, how do you have you got the wisdom to know why you're not getting that relationship in your karmic life? Because you haven't grown up enough to know that that man is a piece of shit yet. Do you know what I mean? So you're splitting up two people to get with her piece of shit. You need to mature to do things like that. You need to go, ah, fuck, full on narcissist. I didn't want to go there anyway. Whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, time will tell and time will teach you. So that was a little bit of an aside. Excuse all my swearing, that's very unprofessional. But if you do have any ideas, any comments, anything you want to say about that, I'd look forward to reading your opinion on it. Is there a black magic? Is there a white magic? Is there a lot of grey that is justifiable? So yeah, that's my opinion on it. And please don't be offended that I've insulted people who haven't got as many wrinkles as me. Alright, thank you very much. Cheers and goodbye.